Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 3 Islamic books that I recommend you read. And this video isn't to proselytize you. I'm not recommending these books for me to be like, revert to Islam. I'm just going to talk about these books. I've read them, I thought they were interesting, and also it's Ramadan, so I thought, why don't I make a video about some Islamic books. As always, links to the books, if available, are going to be on bookshop.org down below. Bookshop.org is a company that works with local retailers. It helps provide funds to them through the sales on bookshop.org. Also, there's going to be links to my socials, my Instagram, my Goodreads, and my Patreon, and also a link to an UNRWA donation link. UNRWA is the United Nations charity organization that works very closely with the Palestinians, which recently had its funding cut by the US government. The first book I'm going to talk about is one that I'm actually reading at the moment. I should finish it by the time this video goes out, and it is Lost Islamic History. I think this book is really, really enjoyable. It's really good at telling you stuff about Islam that is often overlooked when it's discussed overly in the West. Going from the origins of Islam and the political stuff that was happening around those origins to its spread into different parts of the world. Oftentimes, I think when people are discussing Islam or thinking about it now, it's just the Arab world. But I'm not Arab, I'm South Asian. This book will touch on that. It touches on Islam in Spain and Islam in Southeast Asia. So I think it's really good at telling you kind of the stuff that's often overlooked when it comes to discussions of the faith from a historical standpoint. Because I think a lot of the time it's very concentrated on like Ottoman Empire and then the Middle East. The second book I'm going to talk to you about is Women and Gender in Islam. This book I think is a little bit more of an academic text compared to the other ones, which kind of go more into like the popular non-fiction section. This one was a bit harder of a read, but also I think it's extremely important. I think out of all of them, it's one of the more important books that I'm recommending because, again, and it's not, unwarranted, but a lot of the discussion around Islam is women, we hate them, or at least the perception of it is. And I think this book is really good at understanding the influence of women throughout the history of the religion. Even the first book I recommended, History of Islam, it goes into very much depth as to Khadija, who was the Prophet, peace be upon him's first wife, who was the first Muslim and the first person to revert to Islam. This book goes into depth in explaining, certain tenets of Islam and sort of debunking a lot of the myths surrounding women in Islam, and also talks about the political ramifications as to why women are treated certain ways in Islam and how that's not really in line with the tenets of the actual religion, and also the wider political landscape surrounding just history and stuff as well. So I think this one's a really important text. Again, I think it's a little bit more difficult of a read because it comes at it from a slightly more academic perspective, which isn't a bad thing. I think for a topic that should be this deeply discussed, I think it's a very, very good way that it has been presented. But yeah, I think also when you're buying it, it might be the most expensive out of any of the books I'm talking about today, just because of the sort of title it is. Honorable mention, This Orient Isle. I'm not going into much depth about it, but it's about the relationship of Elizabethan England and Islam. Pretty interesting. Doesn't super go over some of the colonial stuff, but if you're interested in Elizabethan England and its relationship with Islam, maybe look into that. The final book I'm going to be talking about is Science and Islam, A History. This book is about the relationship of the Islamic world and science. And it's not just the inventions and the scientific discoveries that were, found under the Islamic world, which is extensive and often under-talked about in history, which relates me back to the first book, Lost Islamic History. But it also relates to aspects of the Quran and discusses where some of the stuff said in the Quran is, again, this isn't me proselytizing, I wouldn't say, proven completely, but like some of the ways certain scientific things are spoken about in it are vaguely like similar to actual scientific discoveries we have made, and then also talking about sort of the many Islamic things that resulted in scientific discoveries, whether it be like algebra and, you know, moon phases and navigation and stuff, or cameras, and sort of the Islamic world's influence on science during the medieval Dark Ages, the golden era of Islam, so to speak, and also beyond that. Thank you for watching this video. As always, the links to the books, if available, are going to be down below. Linking to bookshop.org, which works with local and independent book retailers. Also, links to my Instagram, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are going to be down below, plus an UNRWA donation link. It's Ramadan. I'm feeling a little bit more tired now. It's like halfway through. I might be a bit more tired because I've decided to just ruin my sleep schedule by staying up till about 4 or 5 in the morning, then sleeping only 4 or 5 hours, then just doing my day as normal. But I feel like I'm a lot more productive in that time period after my nightly prayers, and then when I need to close my fast. Might not be the best way of going about it, but that's the way I'm going about it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today.